In the words of Eddie Murphy from the movie Trading Places, Merry New Year!
One of his best roles too.
Hey, man. Happy New Year to you all. This is the very first edition of HBCU Sports Live for 2026. I hope you guys enjoyed your time off. It has been an eventful one, though, actually, since the last time we were live when we did the 12-hour podathon, which it in and of itself was quite an experience. Don't know if I'll be doing that anytime soon. But anyway, it was quite an experience. I am joined by our usual cast of characters. It's Chris Stevens. He's Jared Hoffman. Kendrick Marshall is too good for us, as he typically has indicated. But he's working right now, believe it or not. He really is working right now. How are you guys doing?
We're good, man. I mean, like I was telling you beforehand, I'm just recovering from my 3 5Ks this week. That's why I have recovering runner under my name, because I am beat up, but I'm the good kind of beat up. I'm getting back on track with my diet and exercise, and I'm very excited about it. So ready to, talk HBCU sports, even though my body is yelling at me right now.
And shout out to Frank, Grand Rising gentleman. Same to you, sir. All right, man. So let's take a look at just some quick news and notes before we get into the show. We want to start, and we'll get into the sponsors, but we just some quick bits that we need to talk about. Our prayers go out to the slain Fisk University basketball player, Andre Bell, who unfortunately, I guess I don't know all the details, but I guess he was killed in a shooting after coming from a gymnastics event with a couple of other friends. And as I understand it, and based upon Kendrick Marshall's reporting, I don't know if anyone's been captured yet, but this is unfortunate. So just want to take an opportunity to send our condolences to the family of Andre Bell, a life taken. Is it Andrew or Andre?
I think it's Andrew.
No, I think I may have just typed that in wrong, sir. Let me see.
Okay.
I think it's and I know what you're looking at, but I think it's Andrew. Andre.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Andre. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. So our condolences to his family. Also, you guys may have heard, former Grambling quarterback DJ Williams has recently been named as the quarterbacks coach, the Washington Commanders. And there's a part of me that thinks just a little bit of nepotism, right? Just a little bit, maybe. Not that I'm saying anything is wrong with that, because look, he currently was on the staff for the Atlanta Falcons. And so, look, man, we wish him well, and congratulations to DJ Williams. But Chris Stevens,
yes,
you got a book. This show is sponsored by A Widower's Gift.
Yes.
Go ahead, Chris. Tell us about A Widower's Gift.
Yes, A Widower's Gift is a Christmas romance novel about a gentleman named Rashawn, who is a widowed father. He runs a bookstore / cafe. His daughter's going away to college. He doesn't know how he's going to deal with being an empty nester. And his soon-to-be girlfriend, Tori, is a public relations guru who comes back to visit because her parents made her come back to visit. She didn't want to come back. She left town when she was in high school and said, I'm never coming back. But she came back, went to the bookstore, they meet, and, sparks fly. So the link is in the description, and it is $2.99 for a limited time. So the price on the book will be going up. So while the book is still $2.99, I highly recommend you go get it, because by the time you click on this afterwards, when you catch this on Rebound, the price will have gone up. But while we are live, the book is $2.99. So yes, go get A Widower's Gift. If you haven't seen the clip of Ken Rashad reading from the book, go read, go watch, laugh at my embarrassment, and then understand that, hey, Chris writes some pretty good stuff. Let me go check this out. So yes, that is my book, A Widower's Gift.
In the words of the lovely Mrs. Rashad.
Oh God. Oh boy.
That damn Rashawn freaky as hell. Anyway, that is a winner's gift. Chris, you also have a podcast, sir. Go ahead, let them know about your podcast, bro.
Oh yeah, my music podcast on the Groove Line. I have had some very wonderful guests recently. I have had a woman who sang background on all the Philadelphia International hits. She's been my most recent guest, Carla Benson. She has a memoir out that I highly recommend you go read. But yes, you can go to youtube.com. Is that in the link? Is that in the description as well?
No, just the book. I'm sorry.
All right,
Yeah.
so you guys can go to this link. It's a YouTube channel, so you don't have to, go subscribe into any other forums at this particular point in time. Sorry. And you can go check out my music podcast. I talk about all things old school, hip hop, R&B, jazz, you name it. From the old school, if it's black music, I got it covered. You guys can go check that out, and you will be glad that you did.
And I'm here to tell y'all, man, Chris Stevens is like a walking encyclopedia when it comes to this old school R&B stuff. And he's younger than me, and he teaching me stuff that I didn't even know. So seriously, man, yeah, definitely check out his channel. Jarrett, you too have a podcast, sir. Go ahead and promote it.
Not as cool as that, but
that's debatable.
Exactly.
Better than Less Than podcast promotes Division II and NAIA HBCUs. Nothing special, But I might have something in the works. So I'm not going to say it now because it's just an idea as of right now. But I could be branching out and doing some other things. So hopefully my mind is creative enough that God gives me the vision to see it through, but have some things in the mind that could be empowering.
Oh, okay. Empowering.
We can all use a little empowerment.
We can all use a little empowerment. Shout out to my brother Silas. What's up, brother, man? Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you on. Happy New Year. Hope your 2026 goes well, bro. So check it out. We are taking super chats. It is open. Super chats are open. The goal is 10 between now and the end of the show. So let's see what $5 super chats between now and 10 of them. All right, before now and the end of the show. So a couple other things, and we'll get into the show. You guys know I've got a book, HBCU Sports 101, A Guide to Understanding Black College Athletics. It is a really good book. As a matter of fact, it's so good that our Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, who is like a big time guru, he's like interim dean of some department at Texas Southern. I'm not exactly. It is so good that he's even thinking about changing the curriculum to make it required reading for sports management course. So I'm just saying that's he told me that. You guys were with me when he said it. So he said that. So you can get your copy, signed copy, by the way, at kenrashad.com for a limited time. Because I am not in the business of signing and shipping books. But you can get it right now for the same price as you would get it on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or Walmart.com, or any other books sold. And there are even specials for bundles. So you can get an ebook right now, and you can still get your book signed. So go to kenrashad.com right now and order the book. It's a really good book. All right. So let's go ahead and start off with the show. And I'm trying to figure out what order did we talk about this. So you know what? Let's go ahead and start with this, because this is kind of like historic. The CIAA has officially through the thumbs up from the NCAA, women's football is a varsity sport. And gentlemen, I think you guys educated me, is the CIAA is the only conference in the country where this is a varsity sport sanctioned by the NCAA. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, as far as I know, they're the only.
Oh, you know what? Real quick. Dr. Kutcher. Silas, brother, I appreciate this. I don't know what Kendrick was thinking. He put that out there. This is my birthday is not until tomorrow, but I appreciate it anyway. But just saying, it's not until tomorrow. I don't know what he was looking at. He says that Facebook lied to him. I'm like, no, I just think you read it wrong. But anyway, so anyway, I'm sorry, gentlemen. Go ahead. CIAA football,
Yeah, I
women's
think
football.
I don't know if they're the only conference, but they're definitely the first HBCU conference to sanction women's flag football. And this is a sport that is growing exponentially nationwide. Like,
Yeah, I heard that. Was that? Was that
somebody's car horn in the background. Oh God, I
it's
hate
all right,
working
man.
from
Come on,
home,
fight
bro.
through it. That's not you. Don't worry about it. Come on.
All right, so yeah, yeah, it's a sport that is growing exponentially in the country. Jalen Hurts actually showed up to the Pennsylvania flag football women's championship game for high school, and that was such a huge thing for them. So, you know, to see that girls are going to have more opportunities to play sports is just absolutely impressive. And the fact that the CIAA seems to be at the forefront of a lot of things because uh Jackie McWilliams Parker, I believe that's her name, correct? That
Yeah,
was her last name,
Yeah.
correct?
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. Commissioner McWilliams Parker just seems to be on the cutting edge of everything. She's a conference commissioner. Her and Dr. McClellan are the ones that not just HBCU conference commissioners, but college conference commissioners, period, should be studying because they just seem to be on the cutting edge of everything. And adding women's flag football is huge. And thank you, Lawrence. We appreciate you, brother.
Jared.
yeah. I think this is great. The CIAA has, you know, been one of the leaders in showing people how to run a Division two conference. The CIAA basketball tournament, for my money, is arguably the biggest basketball tournament in not only HBCU basketball, but in basketball in general. There's not too many, basketball tournaments that bring out the biggest of the biggest names, and not only in sports, but in culture in general, and having bidding wars from different cities for the hosting rights. The football tournament, they're making strides in improving that. They just moved to Raleigh this past season, and now you got them adding flag football, which, having worked in flag football previously, it's growing. The popularity of flag football is continuously growing, so their recruiting base is going to be very large, especially in this area. I'm not in Virginia, but I'm in Maryland. But Maryland is big, and it's in Virginia. It's big as well. So their recruiting base is going to be huge. And take it from somebody who has seen it up close. The women have been some of the better players in flag football. You go to any flag football league in this area, if you see a woman out there, more than likely she's going to be one of the better players. So I am very much looking forward to seeing how this plays out, how many more teams get involved in the action, and what their recruiting base is going to be like. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, Lawrence says, and I think we alluded to this during pre-show that Florida Memorial, he says, is the first HBCU to offer flag football. They are not playing any HBCUs. Well, this is still fairly a new sport for HBCUs because right now, outside the CIAA, is Alabama State. Is that pretty much it?
I think the SIAC has a couple of schools that are starting programs or have started programs, but they aren't full varsity as of yet.
Yeah, but I'm echoing what was said about Jackie McWilliams Parker, who I had the pleasure of interviewing her for this very show, and the sister's cold-blooded, man. I don't think anyone realizes how historic of a figure she is, and for her to be able to put this in action. As a matter of fact, if you get a chance, look in the archives, you will see my one-on-one that I did with her. It was virtual, but I spent about an hour with her, and the sister is, and I told her this, is cold-blooded, and I mean that in a good way. So congratulations to the CIAA for getting this moving forward, and we'll see how this builds over time. Because I wasn't aware. You said Jalen Hurts visited the Pennsylvania State Championship, Chris?
Yeah, for high school. So yeah, he went and he presented the trophy and everything.
Okay.
So this is, I mean, the Eagles. I mean, just locally, really quick, the Eagles are really big on investing in the community, and they've been part of NFL push to get girls flag football into high school. So it wasn't a surprise that Jalen showed up. Maybe to the girls that won the championship because they went absolutely bonkers. But yeah, for
Right.
him to show up, it's just like shows the commitment that people have invested in girls sports and women's sports in general. So this is huge for HBCU culture, and hopefully every other HBCU conference at some point joins it.
Okay. And you know what? We might as well. Oh, we've got breaking news.
Ah, yes.
Breaking news. It has been announced that Terry Sims, former coach of Bethune-Cookman, former head coach of Bethune-Cookman, has been named the head coach at Clark Atlanta. Gentlemen, feel free to chime in. What are your initial thoughts about this? And we're literally this is like breaking news within the last hour.
Well, if you're going to get rid of Teddy Keaton, I mean, you probably needed somebody similar in terms of, resume. And Terry Sims, coached at Bethune-Cookman for 8 seasons, won the MEAC in 2015. Well, a share of the MEAC in 2015. And he's recently served as a director of football operations with Eddie Robinson Jr. at Alabama State. So he's been invested in this. I mean, he's been an HBCU coach for most of his career. He played at Knoxville College. If you guys are not familiar, Knoxville College is an HBCU. They're unfortunately uncredited at the moment. But when Knoxville College had a football program, Terry Sims was one of their star players back in the early 90s. So this
Knoxville College?
Yeah, in Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, so Terry Sims knows his way around HBCU football. So this isn't a bad hire. It's still very confusing what happened with Teddy Keaton because we don't know the whole story. But, if you're going to get rid of a guy like Teddy Keaton, you better get somebody similar in resume. And I feel like Clark Atlanta did that with Terry Sims.
I'm dying to hear what Jared has to say about this.
Me too.
No, I think this was as good a hire you can get under the circumstances. I still think it took entirely too long. You're kind of handicapping Terry Sims in his first year, but we saw that Texas Southern did the exact same thing to Lord have mercy, I always forget names, but
talking about to McNair?
No, the current Texas Southern coach.
Chris Dishman.
Chris Dishman. Yeah.
They did the same thing to Chris Dishman, and he found a way to make lemonade out of poop. So, I know as good a coach as Terry Sims is, with the success that he had at Bethune-Cookman, that he will be able to find a way to make a diamond out of nothing. So I like this hire for Clark Atlanta. I'm not one to believe that it was worth getting rid of Teddy Keaton, but I still think this is a good hire given the circumstances. But
okay.
As far as them being a championship threat, I don't know yet.
Yeah, okay, I was just about to ask you. So Jared was going to say, you say you're okay with the hire, and given how the program has been over the last 6 months with respect to replacing coaches, what type of expectation should Clark Atlanta have with Terry Sims? You're saying they're not going to be overnight.
Yeah. So it depends on if you're going to be able to keep some of the guys that had some success that from this past season. Armand Harris is gone. So that's that. Whether or not Zy McDonald stays for another year, and if he does stay, is he healthy enough to play? Because the freshman that came in and played in relief of him, he played spectacular. But can you keep him in the building? And will he have the same success under Terry Sims' system that he had under Teddy Keaton's? I don't know. So it's too many questions going to that he has to answer for me to say right now that they will be back in contendership, especially considering, Albany State is still the threat. You still got Albany, even though they lost all the guys that they did with Quinn Gray went out the door. You still got to deal with them. Tuskegee has slowly but surely gotten better. The SIAC is always going to be competitive. Allen was really good this year, even though they lost the SIAC MVP. So there's a lot of question marks. So I'm not here to say that they won't, but I'm not confident enough to say that they will.
Don't forget Kentucky State as well.
Yeah, Kentucky State as well, who made it to the playoffs this year as well. Yeah, absolutely. And Felton Huggins, I don't know how he's not getting calls. If he is getting calls, I don't know how he's. I don't understand.
I think Felton Huggins is on the radar.
Yeah,
Has to be.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, he is definitely on the radar, and he may have gotten some calls. But if he has another year like he had this past year,
yeah, Edward Waters as well. Even though they kind of tailed off at the end of the season, that's the way they started the season was spectacular. So if they can have a start to the season like if they can end the season like how they started last season, if they can find a way to keep that consistency throughout the entire year, Edward Waters can be a team that we see and say they are in the championship pictures this year as well. So, and Benedict with Ron Dickerson, they're gonna miss a couple of guys on the defensive end that were big for them this past year. But I have no doubt if the guys that came off the bench during the Chennis Berry years and produced for them and for Ron Dickerson, then I have no doubt that there's guys on the bench now that can step in and produce the exact same way. So there's a lot of unanswered questions in the SIAC. So I'm not confident enough to say whether Clark Atlanta will or won't be in the championship picture, but they got a good guy in that spot right now.
Chris, you got any other thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, just echoing what Jared said, the SIAC, for my money, is the most competitive conference right now in Black college football. And people in the SWAC are gonna jump down my throat about that. But you got to remember, this is a conference that sent three teams. Three. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because 2 came from the CIAA. Either way, we had 5 Division IIs in the playoffs last year, which is super impressive. But 3 of those came from the SIAC, and 2 of those won playoff games. So you have to give the SIAC their due for gambling with canceling divisions, making it a 1 division conference again, and everybody in that conference has stepped up to the plate. Even Morehouse. We forgot, folks. Morehouse is still looking for a coach, and we are approaching the second half of January.
I forgot about Morehouse.
Morehouse. It seems like Morehouse.
And so is my alma mater, by the way.
Okay, that's right. Bowie State is still looking too.
Sorry, Jared.
Yeah.
Hey, Jared, did you're not on the search committee?
No, I'm not.
Should be.
You should be, man.
I'm not big time enough.
Yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just want to give Anthony Holloman his flowers, for what he has done to really promote the SIAC. Like, you'll see all through the SIAC social media, they are very active, and they, in terms of content, whoever he put in place for content for the SIAC, they are doing an incredible job, and they're consistent with every sport, posting when games are happening, getting to posting content to show the personality of the players and the coaches within the conference and across all sports. He is doing an incredible job in terms of promoting his conference. I think that with a little bit more exposure, that their basketball teams could be a lot more, prevalent, because the tournaments have not particularly been up to par, but I see the improvement in terms of promotion for the conference. So I really want to give Anthony Holloman his respect for how he has promoted the SIAC. And he don't need a lot of help promote football, because it promotes itself. If you just watch the games, you will be hooked into SIAC football. But
absolutely.
So with that said, because Lawrence made an interesting comment, and I don't know how true this is, but he says it's easier for the SIAC to get teams into the playoffs than it is for the CIAA. There's no evidence to support that, is it? Is there?
I think only because you got to remember the CIAA, they share regions with the PSAC, the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, and the PSAC traditionally puts 5-6 teams in the tournament on a regular basis.
But it ultimately still comes down to performance and body of work during the course of the season, all right?
Oh it does. It does. But the PSAC is such an incredible conference. Thank you, Angela. We appreciate you.
Man,
And
my friend Angela. Man, look, Angela, we're going to. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate you. Look, let me go ahead. Hey, Angela. I should have I should have changed my voice. That's my friend Angela. Anyway, thank you, Angela. I appreciate you.
But
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were finished, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish off by saying, yeah, the PSAC plays some really heavy football, and even though the CIAA has had some success against the PSAC in the Division II tournament in previous years, I kind of see where Lawrence is going with this, because the way the the Gulf South has just fractured down south.
Well, right.
And that's hard. And the Southern Athletic Conference, that's somebody else that the CIAA is contending with. So it does seem like it's a little easier for the for the SIAC to get teams in, but you still have to win your ball games. It's like you said, Ken, your body of work during the regular season still matters. And the SIAC had a tremendous body of work. In fact, they only had one team that didn't win a game all year. So, I mean, that counts for something.
And also, I get it that the Gulf South isn't the same as it once was, but those 4 teams that are still in the Gulf South are Valdosta State, West Florida, West Alabama, and Delta State. Yep. All teams that have been a thorn in the side of HBCUs. I will give them credit where credit is due. They have been a thorn in the side for years for HBCUs. We've played them in the playoffs, and we've beaten them sometimes. They played us in the playoffs, and they've beaten us sometimes. So we go back and forth with those teams. You look at our track record against those teams. There have been some successes and there have been failures. So I get it. The Gulf South ain't what it used to be, but the teams that are still currently in the Gulf South, they're still a problem. Don't sleep on them. So I get it. The PSAC is starting to rise. Kutztown was very good this year. I believe they were either in the Final Four. I know they were in the Final Four, but I don't know if they were in the national championship game or if they fell short of the national championship game. I can't remember. But Kutztown is a very, very good team. Frostburg State is starting to rise. I don't know if they're in the. I know they're not in the PSAC, but
they're in the Mountain East.
I know, but I'm talking about region. Since we're talking about whether it's easier to make it from the SIAC or the CIAA, you got to talk about the regions and those teams in that region. Frostburg, who was once Division III, they made the transition to Division II, and it's been seamless. I don't think they've had a losing season since they've moved up to Division II, and they just made their first playoffs this year, and so there's a lot of great Division II football to go around. It's not just in the CIAA and the SIAC. I know that's what we talk about because that's all we care about, essentially. But our competitors outside of the HBCU conferences are very good. So I don't think there's a measure of if it's easier for the SIAC or the CIAA because they both got it pretty tough.
Yep. Okay. So let's transition. And we're going to leave the SIAC and transition to the MEAC, in which you guys may have heard the news that Ted White is returning to Howard University, but this time as a head football coach. And I don't know if this is necessarily surprising because when the search started, I didn't really hear Ted White's name pop up a whole lot. But then I'm not surprised that, and I guess maybe people thought because he was at Maryland. I think he was at Maryland, right?
Yep.
He was at Maryland, and I don't know, Howard is private, so I don't know what Howard is paying this man to be the head coach. But I think maybe there was the assumption that maybe Ted White wouldn't go to Howard because he probably wouldn't make as much money at Howard as its head coach as much as he was making at Maryland. But then again, it's Howard. And, I vividly remember Chris making the comment. And Chris said something along the lines that, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, you said Howard shouldn't have a problem recruiting players to come to the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of eye candy, right?
Absolutely.
And all I'm going to say is this. And I could I don't mean no disrespect for this, but all I would just simply say, The young lady that's at that cheerleader, Howard, y'all ain't fooling nobody. Y'all ain't fooling nobody. And to the parents of that young lady, she is a very beautiful lady, by the way. Very beautiful lady. Anyway,
That's the point.
guys, what do you say, Chris?
That's the point.
That's the point. I got you. So, Chris, what are your thoughts about Ted White being named the head coach at Howard?
I said this on the Miak and More when his name first started, coming up for a job. Howard did not need to go the splash hire route because they're Howard University. Howard University sells itself. You have great academics. You are in a predominantly black city. You can, and even of course, Jared knows the DMV like the back of his hand. You don't even have to stay in DC proper to go find a good time. I mean, you got your go-go's and your clubs in different places in PG County where you can go hang out, kick it, have a good time, and get to catch the metro, still be back on campus, before it's too late. So I mean, Howard has logistics going for it. The fact that it's Howard University, and they didn't need to just go say, "Oh, let's go find an ex-NFL player and put him on the sideline and say, hey, dude, coach our football program." And the dude that's coming back, he graduated from Howard over 25 years ago, and guess what? He still holds most of the MEAC passing records. Ted White was the truth as a quarterback. And for a team that has struggled offensively like Howard has in recent years, that's who they needed. They needed a guy who knows how to put together an offense, because Howard's defense has been really, really good. If he keeps that defensive staff and just tailors that offense to the way, he was running it, the way Jay Walker was running it, Howard's going to be back in the MEAC championship chase sooner rather than later. So I think this was a wonderful hire for Howard, to be quite honest.
Jared?
Yeah, I think this is great. Ted White having coaching experience coming from Maryland. I think that, it's great that you can not only bring a program legend back to be the head of your football team, but having coaching experience is a huge plus. I think that I'm pretty sure he has a good eye for quarterbacks. So you expect a star quarterback to be coming soon. I can't imagine that the quarterback that they bring in will not be a starting caliber guy or a star caliber guy. So I think this is great for Howard. They were on the precipice under Larry Scott, so this should put them over the top as a true top team in the MEAC. I'm looking forward to see what moves Ted makes, who he adds to his staff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Ted White era begin at Howard.
You know what? I don't know why this reminded me of this, and I can't help. And I always ask this question, especially as it relates to new hires. And I asked you guys this question with respect to Terry Sims just a few minutes ago about expectations. And the one thing that we can say about Howard, at least over the last few years, is that they weren't garbage. They weren't trash by any means. And they probably lost, the games that they did lose, majority of them were, like, if I'm not mistaken, were like, by at least a score. But rarely did you ever come across instances or situations where the team was actually just, blown out. So I have to ask the same question about Ted White. What is it? And this is with respect to, and we probably didn't talk about what Prairie View's coach Coach Jackson said about relying upon 18-year-olds, right? Mm-hmm. So given where we are right now in this state of college football, because look, man, it's been said by coaches, it's been said by ADs, and I'm not necessarily talking about HBCUs. There is a win now mentality, given that this is not about recruiting, or it is about recruiting, but the recruitment is different. It's about literally hiring players now, and they're employees. It's literally about hiring players and paying them, almost like the NFL. And which, I get it, Howard, it's the Mecca. known for academics more than anything else. But I guess I'm of the belief that they're saying, damn it, but we're paying you some money. So what type of expectation can they expect from Ted White, who is a Howard alum, who played there, well respected, well revered, what are we to make about expectations? What should we see an immediate turnaround?
I think we can, because the only thing that I want people to understand about the MEAC is this thing belongs to Chennis Berry until Chennis Berry decides he's done with it. That's what it feels like at this point in time. Because I mean, the man has been here 2 years and has not lost a MEAC game. He's also just won a Celebration Bowl.
Yep.
So that means his recruiting stock has just gone. Like, he can go get guys. I mean, like in the fact that he can go get guys from all levels, because he brought some kids with him from Benedict who turned out to be good and great MEAC players. So, I mean, I think South Carolina State is still the champ until somebody knocks them off. But Delaware State is going to probably, I hope we don't take a step back, but we lost quite a few guys in the portal. So hopefully Coach Jack has been able to replenish. I think Trey Oliver still is going to have something to say about it. I'm still very interested to see what Morgan State does, because Morgan State just got a quarterback from an FBS school, even though they already have Ray Moore III, the MEAC Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I'm very interested to see what that looks like. And I'm still very interested to see if Michael Vick can actually make some inroads with recruiting and winning games at Norfolk State. I know he just snatched Brevin Caldwell from Johnson C. Smith. So the MEAC is not going to be easy by any stretch, but I do think Howard can be in the conversation. It's really all in how Ted White, goes out and recruits and gets who he can get at this juncture in the game. Because like Jared said, it's very late in the coaching hire cycle. In fact, the portal closes tonight. So
is it tonight?
Yeah.
It is tonight.
Mm-hmm. The portal closes tonight. So there's going to be a lot of interesting, kids in limbo, shall we say. And whoever those kids in limbo are, they better go grab get the spots while they're getting them. So this could probably make for an interesting spring and summer and early fall of recruiting, once we get, done with this academic year.
How many kids were in the portal? Any idea?
9,000.
Was it 9? Was it what? Say what?
9,000. It was like 100 million.
Yes, but according to the last count, over 9,000 football players went to transfer.
How long ago was that, Chris?
I think that was probably like last week. So I think so. The number's probably shrunken by now, but still, that's still a massive number. That is still a massive number.
Who is advising these players?
Good is what Jermaine Jackson. I just love that this dude does not care. I love that he doesn't care. This dude said in front of high school coaches, we can't rely on 18-year-olds to keep our jobs. And then he went a step further and said, the uncle of the single mother is my worst nightmare as a recruiter. Jermaine Jackson has no chill whatsoever. And I can't remember the last time we've had a coach like that has just said what is on his mind, will not back down off of it, and stands 10 toes on it. I mean, like, can you imagine? And we all know the kind of guys he's talking about, because I cover high school basketball here in Delaware, and I see a lot of people, positioning themselves as trainers and advisors, and they don't know their behinds from a hole in the ground. And when you have those type of people advising parents that may not have the experience of college recruitment and kids that just want to be seen, that just want to play somewhere in college, that's a dangerous little gumbo there. And I'm glad that Jermaine Jackson said it, because a lot of these, advisors are advising these kids down a perilous road. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, again, there's a lot that these college football coaches have to deal with now. I mean, yeah, we already know about the money aspect, but then we know about the circle, the cliques, the leeches, those type of folks.
You talking about like agents?
Your street agents. Shout out to Chris.
Yeah.
The street agents. Yeah. I mean,
he did say that, didn't he?
the game was never easy, but now it's just void of any sort of, tact. And that's why I'm glad you got to answer tactlessness with tactlessness. And Jermaine Jackson has absolutely done that. See, he's got me so excited. I'm tripping over my words.
Okay,
Yeah, but
so
like my thing is like college football is already in a space where job security is decreasing by the second.
Yep.
Like it makes no sense. And there's a lot of programs that have unrealistic expectations for where they should be and given their circumstances. And then when you got players who are leaving after one good year with programs, or in some cases, they're just leaving after a year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's literally players that have played for 7 teams in 4 years. It makes no sense.
7 teams in 4 years.
I'm exaggerating.
Okay.
But but they commit. There's players that have committed to 7 teams.
I hear you. Yeah.
So like when you have that kind of inconsistency in terms of who's going to be on your roster, if a coach can keep a player for 3 years, he did something special.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you have the fact that success doesn't come overnight. And then when you're showing signs of growth, the program wants to move on from you because you're not where you intend to be. But you're not allowing him to grow the program. You're going in the right direction, but you're going away from somebody that had you going in that right direction. And then when you bring in somebody who isn't the right person for the job, and then you digress, you move on from him because he was even worse. And now you're right back to where you started from the first person who was showing you growth. So it's a lot of impatience. It's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, making decisions that is just want to put that there. Morehouse too. Morehouse is even worse because they haven't been good in however long.
That's right.
But anyway, like it makes absolutely no sense. There's so many programs that should have been where the Alabamas are, where where Indiana is now. You know, where in terms of FCS and HBCUs particularly, where South Carolina State is, where Jackson State is, where Prairie View A&M is now.
Mm-hmm.
But you made decisions that made absolutely no sense because you thought you knew better than what you did, which you didn't. So the transfer portal is only going to continue to get worse because there's a bunch of people that don't know anything about the business of college football or about advising talent in general and only want money. And then they go to these schools that they think they're going to get bigger opportunities. They're going to make more money, and you ride in the pine. That's all you're doing.
So let me ask you this: with respect to what Coach Jackson said too, also about 18-year-olds, because he's saying that we can no longer depend on them. What does this mean for those 18-year-olds who are coming out of high school? What? Because he's not the only one. He was just the only one who was bold enough to say it. So what does this mean for those? And then, okay, maybe the 4 and 5 stars. Okay, that may not be an issue. But what are we to say for, like, say that 2 or 3 star recruit who has great moral character, isn't a troublemaker, and may be pretty good in the books, and can't get that chance? What are we to make of those people? What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to go to JC route?
It's sounding like that's what's going to have to happen. You're either going to have to go JC or you're going to have to humble yourself. You're going to have to humble yourself. You're going to have to go into one of these programs that you feel like you're bigger than and humble yourself and say, maybe this is where I need to be right now. Listen to your coach in every training camp, every practice. Be in the ear of QB1. Depending on whatever your position is, RB1, wide receiver 1, whatever, be in the ear of your assistant coaches, listen to them, to everything they have to say, be a model student and athlete in every circumstance. And when you get your opportunity, be ready. That's the only thing that you can do.
WSSU Ram Nation, they're treating D2s like JUCOs, and he's saying, hell, FCS2.
Exactly.
And he's not wrong. He's not. But there are some people who are offended by that. And should they be?
They absolutely should be.
They should be offended?
They absolutely should be. Because you're treating D2 as an opportunity to be a springboard for you. When in all actuality, D2s have produced some better talent than Power 5s have. FCS has produced some better talent than Power 5s have at the next level. So you thinking that how many players have we seen at the D2 level, at the FCS level, move up to FBS and their stock dropped?
A ton of them.
Exactly. So, and then they want to act like that's their best way of getting to the next level, when in all actuality you're hurting yourself more than you realize, because that hurts your development as not only a player but as a student.
And I get it, and I just don't know. I think this is just the new reality, and I guess there's a part of me, and I understand the sentiment, Ram Nation says D2s are now being treated like JUCOs. But, and I think there's a part of me that says, well, you still have to look at the overarching benefit, a D2 institution or an institution that competes at the D2 level versus an actual junior college. They are not the same. Now, I understand how that may resonate or translate over into actual playing football, but there are a number of D2 institutions that are like known for their academic prowess. And that for all intents and purposes, the 17 or 18-year-old who decides to go and play school or to play football at a D2 school, there is going to be a benefit, at the very least academically and even culturally, in just the overall atmosphere of that institution compared to a JUCO. And I get it. They may be there to play football, but as we all know, everyone who plays college football ain't playing in the NFL. And, I just think that there are still more long-term benefits if you decide to go play football at a Division II. And then you say, you know what, I'm gonna go to this particular institution, at this D2 institution. And yeah, I do want to play at the very least D1 football, whether it be FCS or FBS. And I'm going to show them what I can do at this D2, but I'm gonna still make the most of the opportunity while I've got it. I just think that's the new reality. I think that's where we are because again, these players are now employees and they are literally being hired. And there's something, I've got to get used to that now, but that's the thing. Final thoughts before we move on.
Here's a shout out to Zach McKinnell, who always
What's
checks
up, Zach?
NAIA, D3, JUCO, and D2 have a big year, then transfer up. It's like baseball now. Got to work your way up from AA to AAA to the majors.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what it takes, if nothing else, there's a part of me that says to that high school athlete, I ain't necessarily got to go to the pros. I just want to play college football. I just want to play football. And for some, it may not necessarily, I'm sure there are some, okay, I don't necessarily need to do it for the money. I just want to play football. I love football that much. I want to play football. And if I got to start at the D2 level and be fortunate enough to play FCS or FBS ball, okay, so be it. But I think it's safe to say, the 18-year-old says, and real quick, everybody's been talking about Indiana, right? Mm-hmm. And the old ass dudes that they got on that team, averaging what, 23, 24?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
It's not.
I don't think that's a coincidence. All right. Finally, and by the way, we've got a very interesting off topic, so we'll go ahead and we'll talk about this. This was Chris's idea, but we are going to talk about the news of the so-called renewed rivalry between Jackson State and Tennessee State, who have agreed to play. I think they'll be playing in Nashville in 2026, right?
And Jackson in 2027.
So it is a home and home. Okay.
Yeah.
So and it's amazing. I didn't necessarily miss this game when I think that was during the time when Deion Sanders came in and they were playing the Southern Heritage Classic. and they didn't play. I can't sit up here and tell you that I like missed it, but the fact that they made the announcement and said that they're going to resume it and then at least do a home and home, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm actually kind of excited about it. This is one of those HBCU football rivalry games that I'm glad they're going to bring back, at least for the next 2 years.
Yeah. And hey, listen, that we've already discussed that Tennessee State ain't interested.
Yeah. So give it a right.
SWAC or the MEAC.
Ain't gonna happen.
But I do like at least that they have dedicated a huge portion of their non-conference schedule to SWAC schools. And I mean, even they played A&T last year. Mm-hmm. So they're at least still they're still conducting themselves in non-conference terms as an HBCU, which makes me very happy. Mm-hmm. But just to have this game back, I mean, the Southern Heritage Classic, I mean, I wasn't really a big Southern Heritage Classic head myself, but I did feel like the way that they pulled out of it, Jackson, I'll say, was really at Prime's behest. And that is why that's one of the main reasons that I'm glad that he's gone. Mm-hmm. That dude just really thought that he could just come in and change everything about HBCU traditions that didn't need to be changed. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that Jackson State and Tennessee State are getting back on the field. Granted, it's not the Southern Heritage Classic, but still, it's Jackson State versus Tennessee State. These teams have met 53 times over the course of 75 years.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those rivalries may not mean much to us outside of Jackson, Tennessee. I mean, Jackson. Well, there is such thing as Jackson.
There's Jackson, Tennessee. Yes,
that's where Lane College is.
That's where Lane is.
Yeah. I mean, it may not matter to those of us outside of Jackson, Mississippi, or Nashville, Tennessee. So, but to those folks there, that's big business. Like, I guarantee you, Nissan Stadium is going to be 3/4 of the way full at minimum on August 29th. So that is a great way for them to, renew this rivalry. Hopefully we do get them both back in Memphis for the Southern Heritage at some point. But if they're just going to play this as a home and home, regardless of, classic affiliation, it's still a good sign. It's still a good sign that Tennessee State, considers themselves an HBCU, even though they have no interest in playing in the HBCU conference.
Jared?
Cool.
All right.
So don't joke.
No. Go ahead.
No. But I think this is cool. This is good to have. It's always great when you can have two historic programs coming together and facing off against each other. Being able to tell the story of the history of those two programs. That's why I really want to see Tennessee State and South Carolina State go against each other. Those are teams with deep-rooted HBCU football history. I would love to see Grambling and South Carolina State have that kind of a meeting against each other.
Yeah. I
would love for Morgan State's history to be told in a rivalry against, say, like a Florida A&M or like a one of the teams I just said, North Carolina A&T or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I love when two historic programs are able to have that kind of that history collide, against each other. I'm not going to be as vulgar as Chris was about Dion, curtailing the Heritage Classic, but what I will say, it was a slight disservice for that game to not be taking place. But I'm glad that it's back, and hopefully we can get it back to Memphis.
Here's an interesting question from Ryan Bunn. He says, how do y'all feel about Matt Leone leaving North Carolina Central for Tennessee State? I think it's a lateral move. I could see if he left for a head coach at an FCS school or a P4 position coach. Well, if you guys are not familiar, Matt Leone was the offensive coordinator for North Carolina Central. He coached Davius Richard and Walker Harris to considerable success. And for me, I don't know if it's lateral per se. Yeah, WSSU Ram Nation. I think Tennessee State has more in the till at this point than North Carolina Central does. And we all know that Reggie Barlow was not going to take 2025 lying down. You know, that Tennessee State team going 1-10 or 1-11 or 2-9 or whatever it was, it ain't happening again. Not under Reggie Barlow's watch. So I think what this is that Tennessee State is going to make another run at a FCS playoff appearance. I'm not saying they're going to get there. I'm just saying that that's what, you know, Reggie Barlow was aiming towards, because he had to take that job. He was another one who had to take the job exceptionally late. Because remember, we had Eddie George on here. When we have Eddie George on here, like December, January-ish?
You mean last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was around that time. Yeah.
It was around December 24, January 25-ish. And then he left for
Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm. And then Reggie Barlow had to, you know, jump in and take that job, you know, late in the recruiting cycle. So now that Reggie Barlow's had a full year of coaching and now has a full offseason to recruit, he's going to have guys that are ready to compete in the Big South OVC next year. And they needed an offense bad. They probably still need to go get a quarterback at some point. But if you're going to get Matt Leone to run your offense, the chances are you already know what kind of quarterback you want and what that quarterback is going to look like. So I think it may feel like a lateral move, but it could also be a high reward move for Matt Leone, because if Tennessee State can get back to the playoffs with a competent offense, he's absolutely going to get some looks at a coaching job, at a head coaching job somewhere.
Just a quick correction. The Tennessee State did go out and get a quarterback. They got Dalen Lee.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Winston-Salem State's own.
Yeah.
Sorry, WSSU.
How you feel about that, WSSU Ram Nation?
He said they got a QB. Ours. Yikes. But hey, you got Torrey Woodbury back. Torrey Woodbury gonna find you a quarterback. Shouts out my guy, Coach Wood, man. He's one of the best people in, you know, HBCU, you know, football culture, man. When he was quarterbacks coach at Delaware State, he always looked out for me, you know, in terms of, you know, when I was freelancing for different organizations, you know, getting, you know, information, getting tickets to the game and stuff, you know. So I'm happy for Coach Wood. He's going back to his alma mater, and I think, you know, he'll have WSSU back in the competitive phase of things sooner rather than later. So yeah.
Let me say this before we move on to our off topic about this game between Jackson State and Tennessee State. And I know you guys alluded to the fact of how Dion obviously played a huge role in basically kind of disrupting what was at that time the Southern Heritage Classic and the rivalry that had become. And given where we are right now, we'll just simply say this: depending on how this goes over 26 and 27, when both teams play at their respective homes, Southern Heritage Classic. Here's what I can tell you. If you think you can up the ante, and make it worth both teams' while to come play, you might want to go start working on that now. You got what, 1, 2, 3 years to get it to do it. Because I don't know who was it, Alcorn and UAPB?
That's what it was last year.
Don't know how that's going to work out.
No.
Don't know how it's going to work out. And when you put in consideration the economic impact this game probably have on the city of Memphis and everything else, I'm pretty certain that from the standpoint of both ADs, they would much rather get that money every year as opposed to having to get it every other year. That's the benefit of these classics, per se. They would much rather get that revenue to play that football game every year as opposed to every other year by playing it home and home. And just and getting the benefit of the gate. So you got what, 3 years to get it right. And if you make it worth their while to come back, I promise you they will do it. All right. Real quick, before we go to off topic, I do want to address this one point that goes back to the oops, sorry, mute. It goes to the Division II discussion that Chuck Hunt said. He said, NCAA Division II football is not a slouch. Trinidad Chambliss has shown that.
Yep.
That is true. That is very true. So I just thought that was a great point that he made.
That kid was cooking.
Yeah.
And also to show how Division II football ain't no slouch. Think of all the FBS guys that transferred Division IIs and didn't get no PT.
Okay. On to our off topic. Oh, and by the way, I'm give you guys a chance. You may not be interested, but If you want to chime in and talk about anything that we've discussed or even talk about this off topic, you can go online, hbcuhotline.com. It'll put you in the queue. If you want to talk, we'll bring you on and talk, hbcuhotline.com. All right? That'll bring you into the HBCU Sports hotline. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. This is kind of a big deal, especially for those of us in this space. Okay. Yeah. This was a big deal. And we asked the question of, or the question is a question of ethics. And Chris really wanted to talk about this. So Chris, I'll let you go ahead and set this up for those who may not be aware of what we're talking about and may not be aware who this lady is.
All right. So if you missed it, the Jacksonville Jaguars fell short against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Wild Card round last weekend, and it was a tough end to the first season of Liam Cohen, the Jaguars' new head coach, who came under fire for his pronunciation of Duval in his introductory press conference. but the way the Jags played this season, they were the AFC South champs. You know, in his first year, it's clear he knows how to coach some football, and you could tell he was very discouraged. Enter Lynn Jones. Lynn Jones is the associate editor of the Jacksonville Free Press, one of 200 plus black newspapers still operating in this country. And she gets up and says, "How you doing? Just want to let you know you're doing a good job. Keep your head up. We're behind you, blah, blah, blah." You know, on and on and on. Just about 15, 20 minutes of encouragement. Not 15, 20 minutes.
No, I was going to say, come on. 15, 20 seconds. Yeah.
15, 20 seconds of encouragement. That's it. That's all she said. And you could tell by looking at Coach Cohen that meant a lot to him. Like, you could tell he was fighting back tears because, you know, she had, you know, as our Jared Hoffman said before we came on here, black women just tend to speak life into people. And that's what Ms. Jones was doing. However, there were a lot of people in the sports journalism realm who were good and ticked off about this. That, you know, she was talking too much on deadline, which I don't believe, because if you can't write a story after a 15, 20 second conversation, then you don't need to be in this business, quite frankly. And I was disappointed to see a lot of people with the same skin tone saying the same level of stuff. Like
Jamel Hill.
Yes.
But she did apologize.
And Barrett.
Yeah, I'll give Jamel Hill credit. She did walk it back and apologize. I mean,
Stan Barrett
was very
outspoken about it.
Outspoken about it, yes.
And again, Stan is another one I like, but I feel like this went too far. This went too far. I mean, granted, we've all, between the four of us, Ken, Jared, myself, and Kendrick, we've been probably to at least 100,000 press conferences in our day. and we've heard some people ask some really benign questions.
Yep.
Some stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with the price of tea in China, as my grandmother used to say.
Hold on. Time out. Let's stop sugarcoating it. We've heard some dumbass questions. Let's stop sugarcoating it. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We have heard some retarded questions. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word.
You can't use that word, bro.
Sorry, wrong word. Stupid questions. We have heard some stupid questions. Go ahead.
Oh my God. But yeah. So Jared doesn't want to sugarcoat it, but yes, we have heard some, you know, rather benign questions in press conferences. So I don't think 15 to 20 seconds out of at the end of the press conference. It wasn't like she was saying this at the beginning, wasn't it saying in the middle. It was at the end of the press conference. So granted, we still have journalistic standards. Don't get me wrong. And I think what people misconstrue this is as her being buddy with a source. And I don't think that's the case. I think that was just on her spirit, you know, because this woman has been covering local news in Jacksonville as long as the Jaguars have been there. She knows the city, she knows the community, they know her. So this is the type of stuff that people, you know, sort of gravitate towards. You know, this is some stuff and granted, I sat in the MEAC. I had an up close and personal view of the MEAC coaches call this year with Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson being the main attractions. And there have been some people. I mean, I ain't calling out no names,
Don't.
but there have been some people that have just seemed to be very, very starstruck by two former NFL players of note.
Shoot, I'll say it. It was.
I hate you, Jared. I hate you, man. I swear to God, I hate this dude. Oh my God. Yeah, but I mean, that was genius, by the way.
That was real good.
Comedic timing. That is perfect comedic timing. But yes, I mean, there have been some people that have been in these press conferences kind of starstruck, and it's like, okay, all right, that's what you want to do. But I mean, I'm interested to hear what Ken says, since he's the vet of us, and Jared is he's experienced as well. But I do like to, and those of you in the chat, I know Zach is. Let me see what Zach says. I like this point. Sadly, this is a perfect example of traditional media and doesn't understand why new media is overtaking their popularity. Fans want to see personality and emotion from media members. And that probably is the hardest part, because when I came in this business, I've been in this business since 2002. Yes, I'm old. But I mean, I was trained by journalists who said, our job is to get the story and, leave everything else up to, but also at the same time, the great Dwayne Wickham was our dean of our journalism school at Delaware State. He also said, it's not what you know, but who you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you still got to get to know people that you're covering. Like, you ain't got to, you ain't got to be buddy with them. You ain't got to go out to dinner with them. And for God's sakes, you don't have to do what Olivia Newsy did with RFK Jr. I don't need to tell you guys what happened there. You probably already know, but if you don't, Google's is free. But, I think people coming down on this woman just did the absolute most. Yes, we still need to have journalistic standards. Yes, we still need to be impartial. Yes, we still need to be unbiased. But at the same time, just, saying something kind to somebody shouldn't have caused all this hullabaloo. And I'll leave the floor open to anybody else who has a comment.
Let me just say this. There's a saying that goes, and I think we've all heard it, and I think I've even experienced it as myself, more so being the senior member of who's president right now, especially on the staff. And there is a saying that goes, and I've been hearing it for years, and I'm sure many of you have heard it too, that the older you get, the more F's you run out of.
Yep.
And Lynn Jones is 64 years old. And she's probably forgotten more things in this business than many of us actually know about the business. Now, with that said, and I kind of consider myself an old school guy, and I embrace the fact that I've been professionally trained, if you will, in this space of journalism per se. And I will say that moment, that is not typical. That is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be a fan, if you will. But there are always exceptions. And the reason why I point at Jemele Hill, because I think at the time, and she, like I said, she admitted herself, Jemele, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I think initially she was like, I think she tweeted, I hope this isn't a reporter, sounding like a fan or something along those lines.
She did. And her and a well-known Twitter personality by the name of Dragonfly Jones got into it. And when Jemele called Miss Jones auntie, people pounced.
Okay.
People absolutely pounced.
Wait a minute. Who called? What now? What happened?
Yeah, when Jemele was in this exchange with Dragonfly Jones.
Okay.
She called Miss Jones auntie.
Okay.
And people just absolutely flipped out over that. And that probably was more than anything that would spur Jemele to apologize publicly to Ms. Jones. But yeah, that's where the whole thing, really sort of.
So I say all this to say that I think Lynn Jones knows a hell of a lot more about this space, journalism, the application of journalism, the application of the principles, as well as the business of journalism. And when you put in consideration that she's, after all these years, have been working at a small black newspaper, and believe me, you know, these outlets, the task of trying to stay open or keep the doors open, especially at these Black publications. This is one of them, by the way. It is not easy. It is. And so, granted, while that particular, I just put it like this: we make exceptions. There are always exceptions that can be made. Okay, but like you guys said, she didn't deserve this. Now, I haven't heard all of the criticism, because from what I understand, it got like really bad to the point to where it even became personal, and that ain't necessary either. So I will just simply say this: how she did it isn't necessarily ideal, and as far as I know, she's never been accused of doing this before that I'm aware of. And I really think this is just kind of one of those moments where, you know, she literally just said F it. And I don't think she needs to apologize for anything. But
no.
And she isn't. And she shouldn't.
And she shouldn't.
You know, because again, she's got skin in the game, man.
Look,
but I'm just simply saying there is a right way and a wrong way to do things. But I'm sure, and I'll admit, I've never heard of Lynn Jones until all of this happened. But there's no reason to question her credibility. There's no reason to question whether or not she belongs in the space, because I think we all will agree we've heard a lot worse from people who are not journalists.
10 times worse.
In this space at that.
In this space.
People have been given credentials that I have no idea.
Yeah. So, you know.
Some of them even move on to work at other universities.
Yes. But like, my thing is like, okay, I understand. Before every, and you guys know this, before every press conference.
I'm sorry.
That was crazy. I know. That was crazy. I tried to move on from that.
Okay, go ahead.
Before every press conference, and you both know this, the first thing they tell you, do not cheer for or root against any player or any team. If you do, you will be asked to leave the press conference. They tell you that before every press conference. I get it. Traditionally, in terms of press conference etiquette, this was wrong. Understood. But for people to be saying the things that they are saying about this woman, who just had a genuine moment where she had an act of kindness on her heart and she acted on it. I don't understand the vilifying of her. I don't get it. I don't get it at all, especially considering how much journalism has changed, let alone over the past 10 years, but over the past 20 years.
Amen.
We are seeing nowadays, are you watching these studio shows that are on now? Where players are being called trash, where players are getting called out about their parenting. We have gone beyond what traditional media once was.
Look, all one has to do is just look at some of the damn White House, the press conferences that take place when Trump is taking questions.
Yeah.
Like there are genuinely people who are speaking about those who have certain things on their jacket. That's as far as I'll go on that. And they're speaking about them as if they're gods, if they're heroes. Journalists are doing it. And you're mad at her because she had a genuine act of kindness? I don't understand that. Like,
so let me just address this real quick, because Ojarak is saying it's only because she's a black woman. If that's true, and correct me if I'm wrong, the people who have been criticizing this, is it a mixed bag, or has it been a lot of black folks? Is it mostly black folks, or has it been mixed? Because I literally
I think what I've noticed is it feels like that a lot of black journalists were piggybacking off of what a lot of white journalists were saying, and that was disappointing to me, to be quite honest, because we can't. I mean, like I've said before, the moment we stop, living up to the white gaze, caring about what white people white people think what this is going to look like to white people, we'll be a lot better off. But I saw a lot of bigotry from certain members of certain white members of the sports journalism community. And then I saw black people just like, oh wow, it's almost like black journalists were saying, wow, she makes us look bad. And it's like, why do we care whether we look bad to white people? I mean, look who they kiss up to like you said, in DC. So to me, it's like, again, we gotta stop this whole thing of, oh no, we can't look bad in front of massa. No, who cares? Who cares?
And let's just be quite honest. In sports journalism, everybody thrives off negativity. If she had said, yes, hey, Liam Cohen, you had a great regular season, but you sucked in the playoffs, nobody would have said a word, because everybody thrives off negativity. Who are some of the most popular people in sports journalism right now? The people who always got something bad to say about somebody.
Yeah.
Those are the main people who are the most popular in sports journalism. All the reputable journalists, they don't get reshared. Their clips don't go viral. They don't get hundreds of millions of views.
But Chris, you're talking about commentary though, right?
When you say commentary,
I mean, Jerry, you talking about commentary. The you talking about reputable. You talking about those who like comment negatively.
Those who comment negatively are the most popular names in journalism.
Okay,
they're the most popular names in journalism. Let's just be quite honest. How many reputable journalists who speak positively or not even speak positively are neutral? When a player plays bad, they will mention that they play bad. If they play good, they will mention that they play good. They keep everything down the middle. They don't go personal. They don't beef with other players. They don't beef with other coaches. They don't make it personal and send attacks through social media. How many journalists are like that are popular right now? Other than Scott Van Pelt. Scott Van Pelt is one of the few people that keeps it straight down the middle. He doesn't beef with other players. He doesn't try to have personal relationships with other players. He just keeps it straight down the middle. That's all he does. Like, so I
will put like this. Well, those who typically like are opinion based are typically, if we're talking about sports journalism, they're typically people who have been columnists at one point, to where they are paid to give their opinion. Yeah. So if you look at someone like Stephen A. Smith,
here's my thing about
Jason Whitlock. No, but I'm saying these are people who at one point were columnists for the newspapers in which they worked for, and to this day they are opinionated. Those are just the first two people that came to mind.
My problem with Stephen A. is that he has just been so desperate to become the story now. Like we always are taught, you don't want to become the story. Stephen A. has leaned into becoming the story. I mean, let's not forget that he once looked at Kevin Durant on First Take through the camera like he was cutting a WWE promo, saying, "You don't want to make an enemy out of me." Like, who do you think you are? Do you think you Vince McMahon or somebody? I mean, what's your problem?
But even look at, that's how he has always been. He has always been like that. But that's what made him popular. And with that popularity, it has only grown. That's the problem. We make people famous that do these things that they disrespect players, calling them out their name. We make them popular and they only grow into that person that they once were. So it's not like this is anything different from what Stephen A. or what Jason Whitlock or what Skip Bayless once did. They've always done that. Skip Bayless is just now starting to see the consequences in his actions. He's been limited.
Skip Bayless, is Skip Bayless still on? Does he still have a show?
Nope.
He don't got no.
Okay, that's what
he's the only person that's really kind of had some consequences from being that negative Nancy. The only thing that if Skip Bayless likes you, he will speak positively about you. If he don't like you, he will find the wrong in the most random of situations. Like, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So like, to bring it back to Miss Lynn, it's like she had a moment where she had something on her heart that she just could not hold in. she had a moment of weakness. I get it. It goes against press conference etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
But we have seen that tradition is changing in all aspects of life, especially journalism. Podcasts are king right now. These TV talk shows, these daytime talk shows, they're not as popular as they once were.
Yeah, people are saying that Skip has his own show on YouTube now.
That man he's gone so low down the totem pole, he's been limited to YouTube. That man was once on broadcast TV.
Well, let me just say this. At the rate we're going now, and I understand your point, Jared, but all I will simply say is this. YouTube is winning because of what we're discussing right now. And there are some stats, and I hope we're not going too far off, but about YouTube. This is a recent stat that I heard about YouTube. YouTube has become so popular now that content on YouTube is streamed more on TVs, on smart TVs, than they are on mobile devices and laptops. It is growing. And I can't argue with that because I'm not going to say all of it, but a good portion of my consumption on YouTube is on my damn smart TV in my living room. It is done on my smart TV in my living room. That is where we are right now. So I guess we can get into the nuances, and I understand the points, but YouTube is that safety net now that journalists, you know, everybody's got. Look at Joy Reid when she did the split with MSNBC. She's got a YouTube show now. She's got a show on YouTube. Don Lemon when he left CNN, I think he's got a YouTube.
He's on Twitch.
Where?
He's on Twitch.
He's not on YouTube.
I think he's
on YouTube. I guess he can be YouTube and Twitch. But I'll put like this. Maybe that was recent. I know he was on YouTube. I'll just put it like this. Put it like that. I've seen some of the thumbnails. But this is where we are now. So anyway, final thoughts, man, before we end the show, because this is an interesting off topic, and given our backgrounds, we can possibly talk about this all day. But final thoughts.
Yeah, just for me, it sort of went off the beaten path in this press conference, but 15 to 20 seconds really wasn't going to hurt anybody's day. And the bottom line is, stuff like this for journalists, it should be kept in the group chat. If you have a problem with the way another journalist is doing business, that's fine. I mean, if it's not harming you directly, you should probably keep it in the group chat. And that's probably what this whole conversation was about. This probably should have just been kept in the group chat amongst sports writers and journalists, but then they put family business out on the street, and here we are talking about it. So that's pretty much all I got.
The way I see it, this kind of where we are now.
Yeah. All I have left to say is traditional media is not traditional anymore.
Mm-mm.
So change your way of thinking, or you're going to get left behind.
Yep.
I'm looking at some of these comments. Somebody mentioned, Don Lemon. Angel said Don Lemon is on YouTube with over 1 million subscribers. Yep, Roland Martin. Same difference, man. That's a conversation that we probably need to have for another day.
Here comes Kendrick all late.
You know what, man? Guys, let me tell you something. Kendrick, I tell you all the, you know what? I'm not going to address this. Just
Mickey Joseph, you did a great job. Keep your head up and keep going towards the stars. You are going places. You got a bright future.
Hey, Kendrick, since you want to throw shots, did you tell TC Taylor that when he lost in Vegas?
Ooh.
See, Kendrick, when your team lost to the team that you're talking about,
Since you ain't got the guts to use your own YouTube handle and you want to hide behind the HBCU Sports handle to make comments, but since you want to go ahead and talk about asking me to tell Mickey to keep his head up, did you tell TC Taylor to keep his head up when he lost to Daddy?
Oh, thanks, Kendrick. We almost made it through a whole show without it. Thank you. We were this close. Sheesh.
He is Jared Hoffman. That's Chris Stevens. I'm Ken Rashad. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, man. It's Friday. It's the weekend, baby. Cheers. Enjoy you guys' weekend.
Don't forget, and we got to do the stuff.
Oh, do you think? That's right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as Ken said, we thank you for tuning into this edition of HBCU Sports Live. You can donate to us. We have Cash App. Just type in $ HBCU Sports. You can also go to the Zelle app, donate at hbcusports.com, or directly to the website, hbcusports.com/donate. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed already. Become a level 1 or level 2 member for the neat and tidy sum of $4.99 a month. You can get all the Black college sports news that's fit to print and broadcast as we like to give it to you. And don't forget to follow us on all manners of social media. We're on the Musty app. That's Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. Just search for HBCU Sports and, keep giving as much as you can give because, we want to keep this good thing going. So as much as you guys donate, we keep doing this stuff. So thank you all for coming through. Greatly appreciate y'all and enjoy your weekend.
We gone.